A number of years ago, my wife and I were visiting a winery, and they had their own little organic vegetable garden next to the main winery facility because they like to cook some meals for their guests. And we were just wandering around, walking the rows of this organic vegetable garden, and they had rows of the vegetables covered in nets to protect them from, the creatures who might steal the veggies. And as we were walking down one of the rows, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a little bit of movement in the nets. And I looked, and there was a sparrow stuck in one of the nettings. And the more it struggled, the more stuck it became. And there was no way that that sparrow was going to be able to get out of the net by itself. It was obvious that it would need some help to get unstuck. Just like that sparrow was stuck and needed help, so you have people in your organization that you lead who, for one reason or another, get stuck. And you see them struggling, and it's obvious they're not going to be able to get unstuck by themselves. How can you respond when someone in your organization is stuck? There's three things that you can do. Number one, of course, you have to notice. Number two, you must care. And then finally, you must take a small step. Let's talk about noticing. Back to the sparrow that was stuck in the net. I noticed that the sparrow was struggling. And obviously, being a sparrow, he wasn't really comprehending or processing why he was stuck. And sometimes people need help clearly seeing the cause of the fact that they are stuck. Someone with insight. And often the person with insight is simply the person who is outside of the circumstances, looking in, being able to diagnose for that individual why they are stuck. And this sparrow, he had no power to free himself. And like I was saying, the more he struggled, the more he got tangled. And it was interesting. I didn't wake up that morning saying, I'm going to run across a stuck sparrow in a net. But the opportunity to save the sparrow and to help the sparrow presented itself, and now I had a choice. So think about people in your organization at the moment. Who have you noticed recently who's been struggling? As you notice that person struggling or those people struggling, the next thing you have to do is really you have to show some care. And I got to be frank, I didn't have a rush of feelings of care when I saw that sparrow being stuck. I mean, I could have looked at it, and I know this sounds a little harsh perhaps, but I could have walked away from that and it perhaps wouldn't have affected my day to a great extent. But you've got to be able to put yourself in the shoes of the person who's stuck. It's easy to have contempt for people when they're struggling, but great leaders have a care for others in their organization. So put yourself in their shoes for a moment and ask yourself, how can I help this person? Let's just assume that you've seen someone who's stuck, you've noticed that, you care about the situation, but now you need to take a small step. And let me give you a quick framework that you can use to take a small step to help someone get unstuck in their career. Set up a one-on-one meeting and ask them, where are you now? Where would you like to be? And how can you get there? Put the ball in their court. They might surprise you with the insights that they have. And you can then contribute to their ideas with your own insights to help them to get unstuck. And so going back to that sparrow, it was really interesting. I was a little bit uncertain. I'm not really great with wild animals. I don't know about you. And I know a sparrow is not going to, kill me or anything like that. But I was a little bit uncertain about what to do. What if I reached down and jiggled the net and I somehow hurt the sparrow? But nevertheless, what I did, it was really interesting. I just reached down there. I jiggled the net slightly. And then all of a sudden, the sparrow was released and poof, it just flew away, nice and free. And I'll tell you, if I hadn't noticed, if I hadn't cared, and then if I hadn't taken the small step of just jiggling the net, that sparrow never would have been released. And be looking for people in your organization who are stuck, kind of like that sparrow. Think about how you might be able to jiggle that net and graciously assist them in being released from the trouble that they're in.